tour costumes to red carpet looks and streetwear, our next guest has spent over a decade documenting Taylor Swift's fashion choices, identifying each and analyzing everything she wears.
Yeah, and the Canadian's wildly successful blog turned new book, Taylor Swift Style, takes you on a journey from Swift's earliest days as a country singer to the world's biggest pop star. So here to tell us more is fashion writer and best-selling author, Sarah Chapelle.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it so much.
Well, Sarah, let's start with you taking us back to the beginning. How did your style analysis of Taylor start?
Yeah, so my book, Taylor Swift Style, actually shares a name with my blog, Taylor Swift Style, which I started in October 2011, which is 13 years ago.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and I started it when I was a journalism student back in Vancouver, and I really wanted to take a deep dive offering like context and commentary on Taylor's fashion. And really the blog represented a Venn diagram of the things that I was most interested in and most passionate about. I've been a fan of Taylor since 2006, so I've always loved her music. I was pursuing a degree in journalism, and as a young woman, I was really trying to figure out, my identity, and fashion is a really great method of expression and exploration of who we are. And so I put all of those things together, and I made a blog, and now I have a book.
Okay, so there are so many fashionable pop stars out there. So what was it about Taylor in particular that captured your attention?
Yeah, I think what has captured Taylor's attention for me and for a lot of fans is her, true authenticity and emotional resonance. I deeply relate to Taylor's music. I could give you, a chronological timeline of my love life by telling you what Taylor song I related to at a point in my life, and I'm sure that many of the people here can as well. And so we deeply relate to Taylor's lyrics, and she's put so much of herself and all of these personal details that Swifties love to pick up on in her music that she's also, by counterpart, put just as much attention and just as much care in this visual legacy that she has crafted fashion-wise. And I've always said that her music and her fashion are like two sides of a locket, where she uses both as like these communication tools that she most effectively wields to tell her emotional story. They're two halves of the same story, and they really kind of come together to bring forth, her visual brand to the world.
That was so
Wow.
good.
Yeah, thank you. Very articulate. I wrote a book today.
In this book, you know what you're talking about. In this book, you cover 10 of Taylor's albums, alongside like her journey with the music, alongside, of course, the fashion. But you've narrowed it down for us today to 3 eras.
Yes.
And they have been the most significant in terms of her style evolution, starting with her debut era, which makes sense.
Yeah, so starting from the beginning, Taylor Swift origin stories is that when she was like really coming onto the scene, when you're kind of breaking through as a debut artist, your first job is an elevator pitch of like who you are as an artist. And of course, Taylor did that very effectively with her music, but she also gave us an elevator pitch like visually through the clothes that she was wearing. So she would wear a sundress plus cowboy boots, and that kind of communicated to the world that she was a teenage country singer. So without even listening to any of her music, you just took a look at her, clothes that she was wearing, and it immediately told you exactly who she was.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, and so the next significant era that you call out is 1989, which is one of my favorite Taylor Swift eras.
A pop girly.
Oh my God, I love a good pop girly. So why was this so significant for her?
Yeah, so as Taylor shifted away from country music and started, becoming the pop phoenix supernova that we see today, she shifted away from those cowboy boots and sundresses to really embrace the power of the matching set. So she would wear a crop top and a matching skirt. And this is a uniform that she could repeat over and over and over again, but change the colors, change the patterns, but it created this visual iconography that so many of us can still recognize a decade later as being very recognizable to that time period in her life. And that's, what if I told you none of it was accidental, right? Like that is intentional.
So lastly, you're saying that Swift's folklore and Evermore eras, they indicated a big style shift as well. In what way?
Yeah, so Taylor, has kind of covered so many genres in her 18 years of being a musician. And the folklore and Evermore eras, which I combined as one chapter in the book, really represented another kind of genre shift in her, discography. And as she shifted toward an indie sound, she also shifted toward an indie aesthetic to correlate and match with it. She would really lean into, these plaid Stella McCartney coats that really brought cottagecore to the masses and gave us all this kind of feeling that we really needed in the pandemic. And this period of time, she also sought to style herself, and that was the first time that she had ever done that in her career. She has a glam team, she's a stylist, a hairstylist, a makeup artist, but during the pandemic, so as not to endanger her team, she sought to style herself. And I think, we saw that with her kind of more demure kind of hair, more demure makeup, which I think really suited the time period that we were all in, sweatpants and pajamas. Likewise, I think one of the most iconic pieces of clothing from that time period, which she also calls out as the lead single for Folklore, was Cardigan. And I think that at the time we all really needed to be wrapped in something cozy and comforting and warm. And again, that's not an accident. That is a very intentional thing that gives you an immediate feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like you feel that in her music, and you also see that through her clothes. And those are important messages that she's using her fashion and her music equally to communicate.
Wow.
Well, the detail you go into in breaking down some of her looks is so detailed that, I think it would probably surprise some of the people in this audience and some of the biggest Swifties out there. Can you give us one of these examples?
Yeah, so in my book, I really try to go deeper than just Taylor wears this designer. I really try to offer, based on having been a fan for as long as I have, having a journalistic background, offering more context, more commentary, more analysis. Taylor's, music and discography is so deep and so rich in text that there's a lot there to decipher. And one thing that I think a lot of people are surprised to take away from is that in Taylor's earliest days, she would actually be styled by the wife of her then former label head, and we would see that come up.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very, I think it surprises a lot of people how very in the family that time period of her life was, which I think kind of underscores the deep semblance of pain of how, the fallout from that occurred to her, because it felt like, a deep personal family wound. But Sandy Spicco was responsible for a lot of the prom dress, corseted, shiny, dresses that she would wear in her earliest days.
Honestly, listening to you is so fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy that you're here. So Taylor Swift Style is out now, so make sure you pick up a copy. And studio audience, you're in luck because you're all going home with your very own copy.
That's not all. We're also helping you find your Taylor Swift style with gift cards from our friends at Winners and Nicks, plus a beauty prize pack including goodies from Revlon, Elf Cosmetics, and Grace and Stella.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.